Rahana.
Kia
Thank,
ora.
thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to interview you, first of all. And we would just start off by the first question that I would like to ask you is what inspired you to study law? I mean, as a school leaver, I'm sure you would have a lot of different avenues, science, engineering, and a lot of other things, right? What really inspired you to study law?
I think at high school, some of my favourite subjects were social studies, economics, history, and I also really loved debating.
Oh.
I did a lot of music as well, so I had that performing arts side.
Yeah.
And so I was looking to study something that kind of combined everything that I felt most passionate about, things that got me the most fired up at high school or got me the most engaged with class. So law seemed like the perfect degree to go into to combine all of my interests, what I wanted to do, and I combined it with a Bachelor of Arts.
Oh.
And I think I majored in political science and history.
Okay.
Because again, those were the things I was most interested in.
So while you were studying or while you were working, was there any moment that you thought I did the right decision by choosing law to study? Was there any point that, during your phase while you were doing not just your bachelor's, when you're doing your master's, or while you were working, you thought I did a good decision to study law?
I think it was in my the year of law where I did the honours seminar paper, and I can remember sitting in the library, and it was quite late, so it was dark outside, but I was really invested in what I was researching. So I had a stack of books there, and I just remember thinking I could sit here all day and all night and just keep researching because I was so interested. My seminar paper was on law and administration in colonial British East Africa, and I could not stop reading. And that was, I think, when I realised I had picked the right course of study.
That's amazing. Any standout memories during when you were studying at law school? Anything that you still remember? I think you graduated, you enrolled in 2017, right?
Yes.
2017, right? So anything that you still remember, that was a fun day, something like that. Do you have some memories in mind?
I think it's just the collection of memories of that all really involve the people at law school. So the getting to know the faculty in smaller classes, having events, breakfast, dinners at the end of courses, and making friends, and then having coffees, study groups outside of class with those friend groups, and then attending law school events with those friend groups. Those are all the memories that stand out the most for me, because it was really the people, the faculty, and the cohort that made law school so memorable for me.
You also briefly, while we were profiling you, spoke about the moots. Would you like to talk about it? What was the experience like? Because a lot of our students also talk about it, and there is a lot of interest for especially our school leavers about mooting. Would you like to share that experience with us?
I think mooting was easily the feature of law school that best prepared me for not just a career in litigation, but for the workplace after graduating. I can confidently say that was the aspect of law school that gave me the skills that I now use in every day at work. And I think it's because it involves so much teamwork, which is obviously really important when you then enter the workplace. But it also involves legal research, written and oral advocacy, which is really important if you work in litigation. And then mooting also often involved travel, traveling to competitions, and then attending associated conferences, networking with the other teams, the judges, and all of those skills, those people skills, teamwork, and tackling a big project together with others. That's what really comes in handy in the workplace.
That's so nice. Hannah, would love to talk about your transition from Auckland Law School to Columbia. I think you did your LLM from Columbia Law School. Working and studying, right? You were working for a bit in the US as well. How has that transition been, like studying in New Zealand, studying in New York, working there? I'm sure there would be so much of cultural differences as well as people management, other set of skills as well that you had to probably upskill. How did Auckland Law School probably set you up? And what was your experience like overall to work in different geographies and, bringing in best of what you have learned here and there in your professional workspace? So how has that experience overall been?
After Auckland Law School, I actually came straight here to Meredith Connell for a few years, and then went to study my LLM at Columbia. Okay. And it was that combination of having my undergraduate degree from Auckland Law School and having a few years of work experience here at MC that I think really set me up well for the LLM at Columbia. And I think it in general the LLB from Auckland sets students up well for postgraduate study overseas and for working overseas as well. And that's for a few reasons. I think firstly the quality of the faculty at Auckland Law School. The lecturers are some of the best professors in their field, and they're really, really generous with their time. So not only are they amazing teachers, but they can be amazing mentors, and they can be the people that write you references that help you get into these really great schools for postgrad study. And then there's the degree itself. So the LLB at Auckland involves a lot of different forms of assignments, but it often involves a lot of essay writing. So you really develop good writing skills through the LLB, which come in handy if you choose to do a postgraduate degree at somewhere like Columbia or a school in the US or the UK, where there can be big writing components as part of your postgraduate degree. And that's something that sometimes students from other jurisdictions, like civil law jurisdictions, don't get a lot of practice at. So it means that Auckland students show up at these schools with lots of good practice in writing, lots of good practice at meeting deadlines, because at Auckland I believe are penalised if you hand something in late, which again is not necessarily the case at schools overseas. But all of those practices set you up really, really well to be able to excel in your written assignments in a master's program. And then there's the classes as well. So especially in schools in the US, the classes can be dynamic, really engaging, students competing to make the best quality contributions in class. And so the smaller class sizes, like the tutorials, the honours program at Auckland Law School can give you a lot of practice at being able to engage well in class, engage with the lecturer, and make a quality contribution in class.
That's so nice to hear, actually. You spoke about you worked here and then you worked at MC and then you moved to do your LLM. Let's talk more about the kind of work. What's your ideal day here at MC looks like, and what's one thing that you really enjoy doing over here as a practitioner lawyer, and one thing that probably you would say that I don't like it that much, but it's part of the job that you have to do. Would you like to share that?
Yeah, no 2 days are the same working in litigation at a place like MC. So most of my work is public law litigation and some regulatory work as well. And then a portion of my work is also prosecutions, so Crown prosecutions and regulatory prosecutions. And then I also have an international law practice as well. And so that's, I think, my favourite part about MC is the variety of work that you get to do when you work here. So you can come in and sit across a few different practice areas and engage in different litigation areas across the firm. And so you're really getting the best of all worlds that you might be interested in practicing. And then it's also a place where you can sort of grow your own niche or unique practice area if you have something that you're really, really passionate about. So I think that's my favourite part about working at MC. And then, the least favourite part.
The least favourite part.
That's tricky. It's possibly something that I personally find a bit difficult is the types of court appearances or hearings where there's so much that is outside of your control. And so that's just, you're sort of relying on other agencies or other counsel or witnesses to come up to brief, and the more sort of that's left up to other people's control, the more nervous I can feel before an appearance. So I think that's what I find most challenging.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You spoke about working with some of the best professors. You have also worked with Amal Clooney, Philippa Webb, Dr. Caroline Foster. How is that shaped? Like, you would have had your moments while you were studying, while you were working, and you kind of take everything together and try and incorporate that in your day-to-day work, right? So what are some of the things that you have picked up overall, and you have worked with some great industry stalwarts, right? Any particular thing that you feel that this is something that I took from some of my favorite professors, these are some things that I took from the kind of work, with the kind of work colleagues that I had, anything that you'd like to share?
I'm really, really fortunate that I've been able to work with some of the best professors in international law, and I take so much away from every project that I am lucky enough to contribute at least a little bit to. You almost get a front row seat to a masterclass in academic writing, so that's something that's been really useful to me, just to see the processes that they adopt in starting a project, doing the research, and then all the way through to finalising something for publication. Seeing the layers of work that go into that has been really, really useful for me. And then separately seeing how they approach really difficult questions of international law and human rights law, questions or issues that might seem particularly contentious or they might have a real sort of political focus at the time that something's being researched or published, but seeing how professionally and objectively some of the academics approach those issues and put out work that is helpful for people working in the industry, but also helpful for activists in any jurisdiction. Just seeing that sort of really professional approach to really difficult issues has been what's inspired me the most.
That's nice. Hannah, when you started your journey at the law school, so everyone has a definition of success, right? So when you start off, for me, it was very juvenile. I was like, if I do this, I'll be able to buy my dream motorbike, right? Very juvenile. But for you, like, everyone has a different definition of success at different age. And, when you start off studying, you have, if I have this, I'll consider myself to be successful. At the age of this, I would consider myself to be successful. Over the time, as a student, now as a working professional, and soon to be a mother, how was that transition of the defining of success changed? Is it the same? Has it changed? And where is that? We'd love to hear that.
It's definitely changed. When I was at law school and thinking about what I wanted to do after graduating, I was pretty fixated on this idea of moving overseas and working for a well-known institution like the UN, or doing an internship at an international criminal at the International Criminal Court or an international tribunal. And so I was pretty fixated on the idea of moving overseas and working for a big institution overseas. And that was my idea of success. And that is completely different to how I view success now. I think that's because now I realize there are so many more pathways to get to practice international law and work in human rights law, and also have a lifestyle that sort of suits you and your preferences. That's something that I didn't realize was available to me before in New Zealand. But now I realize that you can live in New Zealand, stay close to family, live by the beach, and get paid to do work that is really fulfilling, and that you're passionate about, and that still challenges you every day, and that still involves really serious questions of international law, and that can all be done from here in Auckland, from anywhere in New Zealand.
That's so nice to hear. If you have to give an advice to any student who is just starting their journey at the law school, and someone who has just graduated, what would that be?
For someone that's just starting at law school, my number one piece of advice is always go to class. Always. It might sound strict, but go to class, because that is one of the most important things that you can do. Going to class is where you will make friends and meet others in the cohort, and they will become your support system, which is helpful throughout the rest of the degree. And then later on, they're the people who you'll run into as opposing counsel in court. They will be working for government departments. They'll be working overseas. So if you're looking to move overseas, if you have this network from law school, you can lean on that network. And going to class is also important for forging relationships with the faculty. Those relationships are really important because they could lead to opportunities to do research work, and they could lead to you sort of having someone in your corner backing you and an area of law that you're passionate about, which is really important for after law school. So I think going to class, really engaging with the material and focusing on those subjects that you're most passionate about, I think those are the best things that you can do to set yourself up for success after law school. For people just graduating, I would recommend reaching out to as many people as you can who work in the area that you're interested in. It's a really small collegial profession here in New Zealand, so if you reach out and ask someone for a coffee, they will, you know, the worst that can happen is you don't get a response. But most of the time, people will be willing to meet enthusiastic students, and talking to as many people as you can is what can give you a bit of a better idea about what pathways are available and what doors might be able to be opened.
That's so nice to hear. That's so nice to hear. What next, Hannah? After this, what do you, now that you have the kind of experience that you had, the kind of studying journey that you had, what do you think the next chapter would be?
Next chapter for me is to have a baby.
Motherhood.
Motherhood in a few weeks. So I'm really, really excited for that. I'm excited for a bit of a change, a new challenge. Instead of deep diving into a new legal issue, I'm deep diving into parenting books. So that's the next challenge for me. And then beyond that, I'm excited to see what we could do in terms of growing the international law services that we can offer from New Zealand. I think we're really well placed to be doing that work, and especially after COVID, there's, I think, a lot more scope for people to do work remotely, provide research and legal advisory services remotely. So I'm excited to see where we can take that as a profession.
Also, another thing I wanted to ask you, Hannah, with the way industry has been changing, and we hear this a lot at the law school, with the AI thing coming in, and it's going to have impact across different sectors, right? What's your views on that? Like, what do you think law and legal industry is going to look like in the next couple of years? Do you think it's going to have a huge impact?
I think it's going to have some impact, but not as big an impact as people might think. I think there's scope for AI to be useful for some sorts of tasks, like taking a document and clicking one button and having a chronology pulled from that document. There's certain tasks like that where AI could be useful, but unless you have the skills and the knowledge and experience to know that what's being created by AI is what is needed for the client, or could be relied on, or has the accuracy that's required for working in law in New Zealand, then the AI tool itself is not going to be replacing anybody anytime soon, in my view. I think you still need the lawyers there to be checking it and to know what's expected and what's required by our sort of ethical and professional standards, and by our clients as well. Nice. So there's scope for it to be there to help, but I don't think anybody's going to be relying on it for legal advice. I hope not.
Thank God for that. Last thing, Hannah, what about the alumni community of Auckland Law School? Are you in touch with some of your batchmates? Do you meet up? And even if you do, what's the topic like? Do you guys go back to the days when you were studying, or do you also, what I do, I tend to stalk people on LinkedIn to see what my other colleagues and batchmates are up to. Oh, this guy got a promotion, I need to work harder, something like that. Like, what's is the community still together? Are you guys meet up? And even if you do, what's the kind of conversation that you guys have without sharing a lot of info, but just in general, overarching view, if you have to share?
Yeah, I pretty regularly catch up with friends
nice.
from law school, because you are studying alongside them for so many years, and then you all enter the similar workplaces. You do end up staying in touch, and you do stay really good friends, and it's a great way to, as I said, keep a sort of professional network going, which can be really helpful for looking at what might be happening in other workplaces, across the profession, across the legal services market, and then it can be really useful as well if any of them sort of end up working for clients, and the Auckland Law School alumni end up all over the world, working in incredible chambers overseas, working in some of the top law firms in the US, and some end up being members of parliament, working for government, and end up being business leaders. So it's really exciting to see what everyone goes on to do after law school, and to sort of think, oh yeah, I remember you from class.
Is there a bit of competition?
There's law school can be a little bit competitive anyway, just because of how the degree is structured. I don't think there's as much competition, especially the further outside of law school you get. You see everyone taking their unique path that's sort of perfect for them, and ending up in a job or in a career path that is just so perfect for them. So I think the competition kind of fades away.
It's just me, I guess. Thank you so much, Hannah, for this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.